Rock Seller Magazine.
Hi, I'm Lisa Loeb, and I have a brand new album out.
I just want to let you know I have a new record out called Run to Me.
Hi, we're Pablo Cruz.
Check out our new single.
I've got new music.
I got a new hip. No, not that kind of hip.
Contests, giveaways, prizes. Daily free newsletter. Never miss out. Rock music news delivered. rocksellermagazine.com/subscribe.
Calypso, and I really want to thank you all for joining us. So today my guest co-host is Nick Mancini. We're excited to have him today. And along with that, we have Danny Janklow and Cameron Graves. But before we go for any further, we will be hosting the Warner Park Ranch June 27th to kick off summer. They're going to be holding weekly concerts until September 5th. And opening is Alunis, Ticket to Ride, leading Beatles tribute bands, and VCF's favorites that will take us through the celebration. And we want you to join us. Head on over to valleycultural.org for more information. And I did some actual really normal things today. I actually went to the gym. That's normal, right? I mean, everybody has a gym membership. Everything's opening back up. We started off really small, because I want to get that summer body ready, but it looks like it might be ready by winter, so we don't know. I did about 30 minutes, total, 10 cardio on the machine, and about 15 minutes taking those selfies, because I had to show everybody that I was actually at the gym. Wish me luck, you guys. It might be ready till next winter. So we're going to do another normal thing today. Before we start with our guests, with our show, we're going to have a word from our sponsors.
Hello and welcome to the Valley Cultural Foundation's Arts on the Move event. I'm Congressman Brad Sherman from America's best named city, Sherman Oaks. If you or someone you know is having trouble dealing with any federal agency, perhaps a stimulus payment or difficulty with a PPP loan for small business, call my constituent services office at 818-501-9200. My staff works very hard, they'll solve your problem, and then I, Brad Sherman, take the credit. I think that's a great system. Again, our number is 818-501-9200. I'm Congressman Brad Sherman.
Good morning. At Amazon, we have husbands and wives that work together, daughters and mothers that work together, and we feel like a family together.
You drive her home, right?
Don't always.
My name is Deontay, and I work with my fiance, Tiara. It's just fun to work with my best friend.
My daughter. We rely on everybody else. It's like a big, huge family. I'm very thankful to have that. Love ya. Love you. The type of relationships that you create make you come in with a smile on your face.
Welcome back to the show. This is Arts on the Move podcast. I'm your host, Calypso, and I'm excited to have our next guest today. He is my co-host. We'll be sharing the stage with actually a vibraphonist. Okay, it took me a while to say that, but I learned a new word today. We have composer, arranger, and band leader. His name is Nick Mancini. Nick, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Calypso.
Thank you so much. How are you today?
Good. It's a good day.
I'm glad you're here with us. So we're going to talk International Jazz Month. So you are the perfect person to be talking about that and to give us some information and just to tell us a little bit about, your journey, and just because I've actually listened to jazz, but the music's pretty good and really soothing. Like, I want to go to a jazz concert now, because now I know what jazz music is, such a good music to feel ambient and, to just have like a nice cup of wine and just to enjoy it with other people. And please tell us where you're from and how did you get started playing with the music?
Sure. I'm actually originally from upstate New York, a small town called Amsterdam, which is about 3 hours north of New York City. And I was seduced by the drums at the age of 13 and, did the whole high school band thing and marching band and whatnot. And was also at the same time playing in local rock bands and cover bands and stuff. And it came time to figure out what I was going to do for college. And my mom, in her infinite wisdom, said, well, you seem to be playing music 8 hours a day, so why don't you go to music school? And I thought she was making a really good point. So fast forward to graduating high school, I started at Schenectady County Community College. I was there for 3 years, and then transferred to SUNY Potsdam, which is up near the Canadian border, and finished up my undergrad there. There was a band that came through from New York City. Actually, a couple of bands came through from New York City. And it became obvious to me by listening to how great they were that I needed to move to New York. So I auditioned at Manhattan School of Music, and they gave me a scholarship, which was, I couldn't believe they did, because honestly, I really don't think I knew what I was actually doing. But regardless, they accepted me, and so I did my master's degree at Manhattan School of Music, and that was where I actually focused on jazz vibraphone. So up until that point in time, I had been playing mostly classical percussion, preparing to audition to be in orchestras and whatnot, but had been bitten by the jazz bug fairly early on. And someone had given me a Milt Jackson record. Milt Jackson's one of the greatest jazz vibe players that's ever lived. And I immediately thought, gosh, that's what I want to do. So when I went to Manhattan School of Music, I focused primarily on learning the language of jazz via playing the vibraphone. And then I stayed on in New York City for another 8 years. And then in 2006, moved to Los Angeles. And I lived in Los Angeles up until May of last year, when it became apparent that things were not going to be returning to normal anytime soon. And so my wife and I and our daughter, at the time she was only about 6 or 7 months old, decided we would uproot and move to Tulsa, Oklahoma. My wife is originally from Tulsa. So we moved here, and we're surrounded by family. And actually, I have to say, a really thriving music scene. I mean, I've been coming to Tulsa for visits for the past 10 years, because my wife and I have been together for that long. And I always was able to pick up gigs whenever I came through town. So I knew a lot of the people that booked gigs and were playing. So pretty much as soon as I got here, I started getting my feet, firmly settled. And here we are now, almost a year later. I'm in my garage in Tulsa. I've never had a garage in my adult life, so that's pretty cool.
I have to add, Nick, that your mom is very smart for putting you into that music. Like, let's make some money. Every mom always thinks about your kid's future and how we can, reverse the situation. Can you explain?
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference between the vibraphone, the xylophone, and the marimba? Did I say it right? It sounds very Latin. Marimba.
You did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's right. So all three of them are what are known as tuned percussion instruments, meaning that they're percussion instruments, but they have notes on them like you find on the piano. They all look pretty much like this, with tone bars that you play on. And then these pipes underneath are called resonator pipes, and these make the notes louder. So that is what they all have in common. What makes the vibraphone unique in comparison to the xylophone and the marimba is that the vibraphone has metal bars. These bars are made out of aluminum. The bars on a xylophone or on a marimba are made out of wood. So when you strike a xylophone bar or you strike a marimba bar, it only rings for about a second or two, depending on the size of the bar. But the vibraphone, because they're metal bars, the notes can sustain for quite a long time. The same as if you were to play a piano, and you can listen to the notes sustain for up to a minute sometimes. So the vibraphone also has a dampening mechanism on it, just like on the piano, and you work that with a pedal that's down located underneath the instrument. So when I press the pedal down, it releases the dampening mechanism and lets the bars ring. And when the pedal is up, it makes the bars, it cuts the bars off so that the note is short. So I have control over the length of the note. And that is really the major difference between the marimba and xylophone and the vibraphone. The xylophone and marimba are really quite similar. They're found in different forms of music. the xylophone and marimba are found in orchestral music. Marimba can be found in all sorts of folkloric music from Central and South America. The vibraphone is heard today mostly in pop, R&B, and primarily jazz settings, although it is also an orchestral instrument. And that's how I came to know of it, it was one of the instruments that I had to learn when I was studying classical percussion. So it's a tuned percussion instrument. And if you were to look down at the surface, the playing surface, you would see that there's a set of 3 bars and a set of 2 bars, and then 3 and 2. And these correspond to the black keys on the piano. And then the other row of bars would correspond to the white keys on the piano. So if you know your notes on the piano, you can play the vibraphone.
Oh, wow. I was just going to
And
say...
play with struck with these mallets.
Okay. I was just going to say that those little empty brackets there looked like something was missing, but you know what you're doing.
I love classical piano, especially solo classical piano. And so I often try to do things that one might hear a pianist do. And so, I get into like those repeated sort of fast passages and stuff quite often. It takes an awful lot for me to get tired from playing now. I mean, I've been doing it for quite a while, and I've played for an hour straight.
Wow.
and not felt the slightest amount of fatigue.
That's awesome. What makes jazz so different than playing other kinds of music?
Well, I have played a lot of different styles of music, so I feel pretty good about being able to answer this. What I have noticed, the thing about jazz, first of all, the thing that makes jazz unique is that it is based almost entirely on improvisation. There will be a theme presented, and then the entire ensemble improvises new variations in the moment based on that theme. And in order to do that and create really substantial sounding music, you have to be almost completely devoid of ego. But at the same time, there has to still be a sprinkling of ego in there, because it takes an enormous amount of confidence to spontaneously create music in front of an audience, obviously, right? Yes. So it's this balance of like humility and confidence at the same time. And I haven't noticed that to be the case, at least for me, with any other form of music that I've ever played. With classical music, there isn't a lot of room for variation and for interpretation, but you essentially learn all of the notes that are on the page. You don't often improvise based on it. You just play what the composer has intended, and you try to perfect it and present it in the most musical way possible. But, that doesn't require the same kind of peace, almost, really, that I feel jazz requires. If you were to want to really be a conduit for whatever musical inspiration comes to you. So it's about finding this, people in sports call it the zone, where you're so in tune with the skill set of whatever it is you need to do is so perfectly in tune that you don't need to think about what you're doing, and you can just be open to the inspiration. So I think that it makes it that makes the biggest difference. And then also, of course, the fact that you're improvising 98% of the performance quite often.
That's very understandable. Thank you so much. Don't you go away. We're going to have Danny Janklow and Cameron Graves. Both are good friends of yours as well. You're going to be talking to them about the jazz scene. So we're going to get to know more about jazz after a word from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Tim Gaspar with Gaspar Insurance, and we are thrilled to announce that we're the proud sponsor of the Valley Cultural Foundation's new Arts on the Move podcast. The Valley Cultural Foundation does fantastic work here in the San Fernando Valley, bringing arts and music and culture to all of us. Did you know U2's first concert in the United States was right here in Reseda at the Reseda Country Club? And Bruno Mars was actually discovered in Woodland Hills at Pickwick's Pub? Very, very cool. As the leading auto and home insurance agency in the San Fernando Valley, we're thrilled to be a part of all of this. And as part of this podcast, if you call our office and get a quote for auto, home, or earthquake insurance, you'll get a $10 Amazon gift card just for making the call. So please call one of our team members today or go to gasparinsurance.com and let us know that you heard about us on the podcast. Now, enjoy the podcast and have a great day.
The Chumash people have stood proud along the California coast for thousands of years. Today, we stand for education. With our tribal youth high school graduation rate at 100%, we stand for giving. As contributors of more than $25 million to the community, we stand for the environment, diverting 90% of our waste stream from landfills. And we stand for wellness, serving 3,000 patients from our health clinic. We are the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians, standing proud with the Valley Cultural Foundation.
Welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, I have my guest co-host for today. We have Nick Mancini. Thank you so much for still joining us and for celebrating National Jazz Month. And also joining us is his friends, fellow jazz makers, Danny Janklow and Cameron Graves. So if they are joining us, go ahead and waltz on into the stage of the Zoom.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'm Danny. Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you, Calypso.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hey, how's everybody going? How's everybody doing?
Good.
to see you.
Thank you so much for joining us and celebrating National Jazz Month. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. All three of you guys are friends, right? And you also play jazz music.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Danny, please tell us where are you from and how did you get started with playing the music?
I'm actually born and raised in the LA area. And I was lucky to go to school at Agora High School that had a really strong music department led by John Mosley. I was introduced at a very young age to the music of Duke Ellington. And at that point, it was kind of a wrap. Like, I loved the celebration aspect of Duke Ellington's music. And I got into Charlie Parker. I got into Cannonball Adderley, John Coltrane, Ben Webster, basically a lot of the old school swing era and bebop influences. And that just drove me to really wanting to work hard and going out and searching for the legends of the music and trying to get my hands on, like Nick said earlier, the language of the music and trying to understand the spiritual and rhythmic language that was being communicated between the musicians on the stage. So from a young age, from 13, 14, I was really driven to just learn as much as I can about playing the saxophone, but also about the language. And then when I was able to be old enough, I went to Philadelphia and went to school in Philadelphia at Temple University. And that's where I really dove right into to what I refer to respectfully as the Black American music tree, if you will, because there's, in Black American music, to me, it's more than just jazz. It's, there's funk, there's, rock, there's everything. And Philly was, to me, a huge eye opener to the cultural aspect that I was really searching for, to be able to be a part of and learn from the authentic roots of the music. And so one of the tunes I think that you're going to hear coming up, Nick played on, and it's kind of tying my experiences being a California native and also having this 4-year experience in Philadelphia at Temple University and playing on the scene there and really growing from the ages of 18 to 22 and playing in New York. So this song is called Philafornia, when you do listen to it. I'll give you a little tidbit because I have my horn right here. I wrote this song. I think Nick knows about this because he played in my band for a very long time, the Elevation Band. But I wrote this song kind of between sort of this little line that I would warm up with, and then that's the California part, and then the Philly part is the hook, the bridge it's a little more funky, it's a little more it just has a little more soulful hook to it. So this is sort of the Cali part. Right, and then you'll hear the bridge later on. You'll hear the bridge, and you'll see how the two work. And to me, it just kind of embodies my experience of living in both places and the soulfulness of Philadelphia, but also the casual chillness of California.
That's a perfect explanation of that song. That's exactly what I get, because every time we play that tune, we're always like hanging out in that really nice vamp section on the A, and then we get to the bridge and it's like, holy what? it's all.
But that's how I felt when I splashed into Philadelphia. I mean, I felt like, wow, like, you know, this is what soul is. You know, like Philly is just one of those towns that really is soulful. A lot like Detroit or Chicago. You know, just has a really big impact on whoever lives there, and everybody that lives there has a vibe, you know, when they play together. So it's like you're either swimming with the sharks or you're you know, dying with the fishes. Yeah. Exactly. Especially the drummers out in Philly.
Speaking of sharks, Danny, who are your influencers?
The influences, you know, I named a few of them earlier, but that was more in the classic jazz era. I'd say I've been influenced by, you know, everybody from like Debussy to Radiohead to James Brown, Stevie Wonder. You know, I really appreciate like an authentic, melodic, singable melody, and then I love being able to sort of, you know, have freedom for the rhythm section to also kind of change it up when they want to. You know, like I consider myself a pretty like open-minded composer. I try not to lock in my musicians, and that's something that I appreciate from people that I just mentioned, but especially like a band leader like Miles Davis was so open, very specific in the way he led his bands, but wanted his musicians to attain serious freedom on their own and be able to add their own element to the music. So that's something that I strive for in my own band leading and composing.
Pinnacle Estate Properties. My wife, Katie, and I want to take a moment to say thank you very much for all your support throughout the years. And you know what? We have, over the years, have been supporting the Valley Cultural Foundation. The Valley Cultural Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit that brings the community together. Whether it be arts, music, there's nothing like the Valley Cultural Foundation. So give them a call, find out what it is they do, and be part of it. In the meantime, if you're thinking about buying and selling real estate, give Joe and Katie Andrews a call, and you can reach us at joeandkatieandrews.com. We're proud to be part of the Pinnacle Estate family. So thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
Westfield Topanga is open with over 200 retailers ready to serve you. Westfield Reward members can earn 2.5% cash back when you shop at any Westfield Topanga and the Village store or restaurant, and up to $750 cash back when shopping luxury. So sign up today and get exclusive access to events, gift with purchases, and more. Visit westfield.com/Topanga or text 818-306-5956 to learn more.
Welcome back to the show. It's National Jazz Month. If you're just joining us, we just heard an awesome piece, a very beautiful piece done by Danny. Oh my goodness, that was so beautiful. We have my guest co-host, we have Nick Mancini, and along we have Cameron Grace. Thank you guys for sticking with us. That was such a beautiful
Thank you for having us.
Danny, please tell us
Oh,
a little
my
bit
pleasure.
about that. Where was that shot? Where did you
Absolutely.
guys do that? Please tell me.
So, we lost a really amazing venue. I mean, beyond amazing. I mean, it was our musical home here in Los Angeles for a lot of us in December of last year, and that's the Blue Whale. And shout out to June Lee for 11 years of incredible music there. That's where I really developed a lot of my original music. I think Nick can attest to. We played a lot there. We were constantly. I felt like that was where we developed most of my compositions, and this was our final concert with my band there just a month before lockdown started. And this record, which is going to be released hopefully sometime this year, is called Live on Love Day, or Love Day Live at the Blue Whale. It's definitely going to be a tribute. It was shot on February 14th, 2020. And that piece, like I said before, is called California. It's off of my first studio album, Elevation, and the project is the Elevation Band. And if you see my second record, which I have behind me, but I'll show you a little close up, I just got some vinyl copies printed, and this is Worlds Collide. Nick came out to Brooklyn to record this one. We played a residency out on the East Coast at Jazz at Lincoln Center for a week, and we recorded that record. So that's a follow-up to this record. And so the combination of both Elevation and Worlds Collide is kind of the tunes that we worked with on this live record. So it's live cuts of those songs, but also a few new originals. And I mean, honestly, it was such a special night because, I mean, first off, it was my last show with my band before we had to, call it quits for the time being. But mostly it was just such a warm evening. I loved that we were set up right in the middle of the venue. So when you see the video, we have audience members, just 360 degrees around us, and playing in that kind of environment where you can really feel everybody's energy, especially with the music that I write. And I'm sure Cameron could attest to, like with the West Coast Get Down and his own music, we really feed off the audience. It's really a communication based music. And I think that's something that Nick was making a point at earlier, was that 98% of this music, I think that's a good ratio of how much we're improvising, is really spontaneous. It's based on a form, or a vamp, or a set of changes, or a set of however you want to break it down. There's a lot of different ways to compose form, but what we're doing is really feeding off each other's energy. But more so than that, we're feeding off of the whole room's energy. And that night was really special. So I'm really looking forward to putting out that record, Love Day Live at the Blue Whale, soon. And before that, I'm actually going to release a single that I just went and did during this pandemic. A few weeks ago, actually, I went into the studio with a new band. Unfortunately, Nick is out of town, so he wasn't able to be on this recording. So it's kind of a different project that I'm starting up. So that'll be coming out soon, and you can find all that information out at my socials, at Danny Janklow on Twitter and Instagram, or DannyJanklow.com, or on Facebook, Danny Janklow Music. So you keep up with me. You know, I love getting messages from my, you know, my fans and emails and whatever. I mean, I do really appreciate the support, and I really love, you know, keeping in contact with everybody. So feel free to reach out.
That's awesome. So, Cameron, what are your influences in music?
Oh man, my influence. That's gonna be a long conversation. I mean, I have. I know, man. That's a deep question. I mean, I can tell you this, that I have maybe about 4 main, you know. Frédéric Chopin is one of my main influences. Just the way that Chopin writes his music. Every song is significant. Every song is memorable. You know, you can almost sing the melodies. And then, but the way that Chopin writes is you have to have a lot of technique to play Chopin. But his songs have a simple melody and chordal structure, but you have to have a lot of technique to play his songs. It's really funny with Chopin, you know. So I love Chopin for that. It's a dichotomy where you have a lot of chops, but then once you play the tune, it's kind of like a simple melody that can be remembered. My next influence, I would say, would be John Coltrane and the whole Coltrane Quartet. That was where I started in jazz. McCoy Tyner was kind of like my bass piano player that I got all my jazz piano from, you could say. I mean, there's 2 schools of jazz teaching. There's the Miles Davis Quintet and there's the John Coltrane Quartet. And I'm from the John Coltrane Quartet. I mean, you know, me and my guys, I'm from the West Coast Get Down collective out here from Los Angeles with Kamasi Washington and Miles Mosley and all those guys. And we used to jam out on that stuff all the time in high school. So that was big for me, John Coltrane.
Can I interject for a second, Cam?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you just made me think of something that I wanted to ask you. I mean,
yeah,
we're hearing a lot about dichotomy in your music, and we heard about Danny's story regarding this song that he put together, his experience in Philadelphia and his experience in California together.
Yeah,
and I was looking at what Kamasi said about your music. And I believe it was something along the lines of an almost unbelievable combination of modal jazz, romantic era European classical music, and mathematical death metal.
Wow.
all three forms of music, by the way, I happen to be incredibly fond of.
Yes.
But I'm just curious, like, so what's a writing session for you look like when you sit down and I mean, I'm sure you don't say like, okay, today I'm going to write a song that's 33% mathematical death metal and blah, blah, blah. But it comes out, right? It comes out in your composition. So how do you, what's that process?
You know, it's been a process of, you know, perfecting my writing over the years from all the influences and music and gigs. Thousands of gigs, you know, when I was about because I've always been into rock music. I've always been, since I was like 8, 9, I've always been just like you, Living Color. Because I remember you said something, we were talking yesterday and you said something about Living Color.
Oh,
and I'm a total fan of Living.
It's a great show.
And Living Color and Van Halen was the 2 bands I kind of started with as rock bands go. And then I just started I actually left for a while because I got really into hip hop and I was doing a lot of hip hop stuff. And then I came back to it around end of high school. Somebody showed me a Machine Head record, and I just totally I forgot about how much power that stuff has, man. I was totally I came back around, but man, this stuff is powerful. And then from there was System of a Down, and then from System of a Down I went to Slipknot. I know it sounds crazy, but Slipknot was just I was totally in love with Slipknot for a second, man. I had a good friend named Cale Giacello. He's from out here. He's from Long Beach. He's a really great drummer. He showed me a Meshuggah record. Guys from Sweden. Yeah.
That is some of the most amazing stuff I've ever heard.
Yeah. Meshuggah really, I know. They you know, more than the other bands were just like, I was just into the music and I was kind of a fan of that band. Meshuggah was like a study for me, man, like a complete study, like Coltrane and like Chopin. Meshuggah is one of my 4 main influence pillars, man. They really taught me another side to just music in general. I mean, because you know, Meshuggah gets a lot of their stuff from Frank Zappa. I mean, Frank Zappa had that stuff. I mean, that's kind of where it comes from, man. You know, the time signatures and the lines and all that stuff.
Right.
But you know, Meshuggah just takes it all the way death metal.
Yeah.
You know? and so from there, around 2004, 2005, I joined Jada Pinkett's band, Wicked Wisdom. And at first they were doing like kind of R&B rock. And then I came in and I started showing Jada a bunch of metal stuff. And she really loved it, man. She just became like a metalhead. And yeah, she did. You know, I started, because I also play guitar too as well. I don't play, it's not my number one instrument to play. Like I don't have all the chops and all the theory and stuff with guitar, but I just love playing rock and metal on guitar, you know? And so we did like a whole record. We We put it out. It blew up. And we ended up doing like all the festivals, man. Ozfest and Seven Dust tour, and you know we toured like for 3 years on that stuff. And I was actually playing guitar up there on stage and just fully loving the whole metal community, man. I was just fully into it, and so that influenced my writing as I go on.
Cameron, I'm curious, you know, Danny's talking about the whole connection to the audience and the connection to each other as musicians. Yeah. And I know that that some of the venues that you've been playing with your group and with Epic have not been your standard jazz club type settings. Exactly. Right? Like, you know, for instance, Coachella.
Of course.
Right? Okay. Was it Coachella?
Yeah.
It was Coachella, right? Or was it South by Southwest?
Coachella is a very good example of a venue that's not your standard jazz venue.
So can you, you know, for people who have no idea what it's like to either be a jazz musician or even be at a jazz show, can you explain the difference between, because one of the other places that I've seen you play was also at the Piano Bar, which is about as the size of a garage. But you know, what's it like for you? Like, what's your experience in terms of connecting with an audience and connecting with fellow musicians on a huge stage where the feedback is such a different aspect? You know, being in such a large outdoor venue as Coachella, as opposed to being in a tight little place like Piano Bar where the feedback is instantaneous.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to tell you the truth, I actually like the Piano Bar setting a lot better just because of the intimacy and the closeness of it. It's really tough. It's actually really tough on a stage like a Coachella stage or like a festival stage like that, just because you're so spread out and everything really has a lot to do with your sound and your monitors, and your sound check is so important, man. And you know, for a while there with the Kamasi's group, we were doing like 3-hour sound checks, man.
Big groups though. I mean, you guys are massive ensembles. Yeah.
I know, right? 2 drummers, and both drummers had to get in. Every single tom had to be heard, you know.
Times 2, yeah.
Right. So it is a lot. It's a lot, and it's very spread out. And yeah, if your monitor sound, that's very important. Like I'm sure you guys know, like monitors and you know, also visual, like who can see who, you know, if the drummers can see the bass player, you know, can see, you know, everybody up front. A lot of times the horn players are up front, so they can't really, they're not looking behind themselves. But
I've always found it was a challenge on a large stage to find that connection the same connection that you feel like when literally like the slide of the trombone is going past your face, because you're so close, and you've got to find a way to fit everybody in there, and maybe you've got music stands and then you've got microphone stands, and you're in a tiny little place, and it's to going to a large stage like that and just trying to connect. But so do you feel that the music that you're creating allows for that level of interaction that you find in a jazz setting?
Yeah, I mean, with the band I have right now, the quartet that I'm using on this brand new record, it's a lot easier because what we do is we set up, even if it's a festival stage, we'll set up really close in the middle, center stage, almost downstage a little bit, and close together as a quartet. So yeah, we still have that, close knit setting, and we can see each other and, hear each other and just, have that telepathic communication rather than, because I did the Hollywood Bowl during COVID last year with Kamasi.
Wow.
And he had all the musicians set up where he had plexiglass, and we had to be set up 12 feet away from each other, all on stage. Wow. So you want to talk about spread out, man. it was, we took,
oh my
it was the first time
the same footprint as the LA
stage like that. Yeah, it was crazy.
So,
crazy.
Cameron,
Wow.
I do know that you are going to show us a video or a performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to show you guys a video of me performing the song Red off of my latest record. I have my record right here just to show you guys. The album 7 just got released this year in 2021, February 19th, and it's called 7. And yeah, so we're going to be playing one of the songs. You'll see my band. It's entitled Red. And you can hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, Cam on Piano, DM me, whatever, get in contact. And so yeah, there it is.
Brad. Okay, that was so awesome. That was Red.
Thank you.
We did see a video of you. You went from one keyboard and you switched up on us to another keyboard. Like, that was amazing. My goodness. Congratulations to you about that.
Thank you. You can't hear the actual piano when the band starts playing, so I have to jump over to the keyboard.
So since the three of you are all friends, I know that, Nick, you did work with Danny. Is there like a collaboration maybe in the future with all three of you guys together? What are you guys working on right now?
It'd be an honor to play with you more, Cameron. I think maybe we may have crossed paths one night at the piano bar. I feel like a couple
Many
times,
nights,
right?
yeah.
A couple times.
Yeah. When it was you would come through. Zane was there, and everybody.
Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was really nice times, man. That was really good times.
I mean, at this point in time, I think that between the three of us having as many projects going on as we do, and trying as hard as we can to stay focused on them. And another collaboration to me makes me break out in a cold sweat. Just because it's not as simple as us all if we could book a studio on an afternoon, go in and hang and play for a few hours, that would be fine.
I'm sure we would come up with some cool stuff though. I'm sure it would be. It would be really cool. And
doing like remote recording, it's such a timely process because everybody has to add their part, and they do, and it's really quite something.
You know what's wild, Cameron? Like, you were talking about your influences earlier, and then hearing what Kamasi said about your music, and honestly, I've listened to your music before, and I could totally hear all those influences distinctly in your music, and the way you play the piano, but also the way you orchestrate your songs as an arranger, as a composer. You can totally hear that you have a love for, heavy metal, but you also super love, Chopin. It's very cool that you found a way to combine all of your loves for and affinities for all these different styles of music. I think it's really dope.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Thanks so much for that. Yeah, that's a compliment, man. It just comes, you know how it is when you're composing. It just comes out of you, and you just write. Right, and then there it is. Bring it to the band. So.
I think that's what's cool about Calypso. You're hearing a lot of this music for the first time, but that's what's so cool about being an audience member for original music, is that you're hearing a unique expression directly from all of the influences that we've ever heard or ever played, and you get to enjoy that mishmash of influences.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I'm now a fan of all three of you, and I definitely am going to be listening to your music more. Some of you said, I like it when it's more intimate, because you can feed off the energy of the people. And it's so true, man. I honestly feel like you guys give the same energy I know you would in a big venue or a little one. And really just thank you just for sharing your music. That was so beautiful. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah.
How are you guys staying busy with your projects or, with COVID? Because I know things are getting better, but it's still there.
Yeah. Well, Oklahoma has a different approach to how they're proceeding than Los Angeles does. Tulsa, people are still wearing masks, but people are also getting vaccinated. I was pleased to find out that in Tulsa there are outdoor venues that are functioning starting as early as March and extending well into the fall. So I have a bunch of things coming up actually that are all at either outdoor venues or like indoor outdoor type event spaces, and the backyard concert scene is huge here. I can't even believe, because everybody's got a backyard.
Yeah.
Literally every single person.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So that's been pretty cool.
It's awesome.
I've been working on actually producing and hosting my own podcast / docuseries that has been really a joy to work on. It's a little tough to do, obviously, to coordinate people because we're doing it live at this theater in downtown Inglewood called the Miracle Theater. And I've been really, really lucky to have some amazing conversations with Benny Maupin and Lou Donaldson. We did that one over the phone. But basically the podcast is called Creative Hero, and it's a 2-part podcast like that I'm hosting, bringing on a young up and coming musician. Love to have Cameron on, man. If you're in town, and then interviewing their legend that they look up to, an elder hero of theirs. And so, look out for that coming soon. So that's keeping me busy as a producer. And then I'm doing a lot of recording in studio with different projects. I'm working on a record with Larry Goldings. Like I said, I'm doing something with a new group with a single. And I'm lucky that I'm actually teaching a lot. I'm pretty passionate about educating. So I've been doing a lot of Zoom master classes and, just hosting my own and inviting people to sign up for that. And then one-on-one lessons, which I'm really happy that I've been doing for a long time, but I'm even more happy that I'm doing it now because I feel like it's been keeping my spirits up to interact with people and to give them some positive reinforcement and also, constructive elements to get better during this, wacky time we're living through. So I'm really blessed that I'm keeping busy with those projects, and love to hear what you're up to, Cameron.
Hey man, that's cool. Yeah. I'd love to be on that podcast, man. That'd be cool. That'd be really
dope,
cool,
man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Something. Yeah. I've just been, I'm working on a TV show right now, for the Planetary Prince. It's going to be an animated show. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that comes because I've been trying to bring this book, the book of the Urantia book, the book of Urantia. I've been trying to bring that to light since I started this, endeavor with the 2017 record, Planetary Prince. And so now I'm going to fully just dive in, and that's what I've been doing. So I'm working on the treatment, and I'm working with a graphic artist right now, working on kind of like the animation of the Planetary Prince and his corporal staff, which are called the Life Carriers. And yeah, they come from another place in the universe, and then they come and they bring this crazy music and this crazy knowledge. And there's going to be a lot of twists and all kinds of stuff in that TV show, man. So I'm
That's
just
exciting.
getting started on this. Yeah, so I've just been working on that the whole time.
That's so exciting.
I'm just practicing my bebop skills.
Yo, I'm doing a lot of that too, man.
yeah, same here. Shedding for sure.
Well, Danny, Cameron, and Nick, we really want to thank you guys, just for schooling us on jazz, on the different aspects of it, the metal, the sweet, the smooth, the perfection. I learned so many words today. I definitely have to thank you guys. We're so excited because you guys have awesome, amazing projects coming up, and we can't wait to see what that comes into. And I know something happened because some collaboration is gonna happen. Mark my words.
Oh, definitely.
Will happen. Really quick, we will be hosting the Warner Ranch Park June 27th. Okay, weekly concerts through September 5th. Now, that's your summer made right there, okay? Go to valleycultural.org. We have a great show for next time. We have, we're going to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, okay? It's a Mexican history. Our next episode, May the 6th, okay? It's going to include one of Los Angeles' most famous mariachi groups, the Mariachi Linda Mexicana, and also joining the Delgado Brothers and Conjunto Jardín. So we cannot wait for that. So, you know what? Join us next time.